Well, anti-Russia hysteria in Washington has gotten to such a place that it's not just conservatives who are being swept up in it anymore. The Senate Intelligence Committee is now investigating Jill Stein of the far left, not pejorative, accurate in this case, the far left Green Party, for you guessed it, alleged collusion with Russia. What did Stein do? It's getting all this attention. Well, in 2015, she had the gall to attend a dinner in Moscow with Vladimir Putin himself. That was sponsored by the television network Russia Today, which of course makes her Ethel Rosenberg. Joe Concha writes for The Hill, and he joins us tonight. So, Joe, here's what struck me about this story. Many things. But one, here you have a political candidate, a politician, going to a dinner sponsored by a news organization. I don't watch RT, okay? I don't agree with RT, but it is a news organization. It's no crazier than some other ones out there, that's for sure. And she's being investigated by the Congress over this. There's no media outcry at all. Everyone acts like this is totally normal. Where are reporters in defending the freedom of the press they often say they believe in this case? Well,
because they're distracted by the blame anybody but Hillary Clinton for losing the 2016 election. I mean, let's think about this now. We've had Bernie Sanders, Jim Comey, Matt Lauer, sexism, white resentment, all blamed for Hillary Clinton's loss. Jill Stein is now part of that equation as well. And the calculus is that if all of Stein's votes in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan all went to Hillary Clinton magically and not to the Libertarian ticket or Donald Trump, then she would have won those states and therefore the Electoral College. So now a dinner that she had in Russia is being called into question before one vote in the primary was cast. A trip that she paid for on her own. She only bought one aide, and now she's happy to answer any questions. But again, when you're obsessed with Russia this much, you have to bring in as many actors as possible, even ones that have no business being there.
So somehow nobody in the media has noticed that this is a terrifying witch hunt that's gotten so ludicrous it's sweeping up Jill Stein as a secret Russian agent? Does it? I mean, remember studying the McCarthy era when you were in school? And the idea was that people who stood up and sort of, ripped the mask off and called it ludicrous, like Ed Murrow, they were heroes. Where are those people now?
You mentioned aliens before. I think aliens are laughing at us right now when we start including these things. And obviously, the Bob Mueller investigation, if you call that into question as well, then it's considered dangerous or treasonous. And The Hill highlighted a poll from last week. It was from Harvard and Harris. And 54%, a majority, said that they think that Bob Mueller is compromised in this investigation because of his prior relationship with Jim Comey. And you look back at the coverage of Ken Starr and that investigation in 1998 when he was investigating President Clinton. Let me share with you the New York Times from 1998. Headline: White House's all-out attack on Starr is paying off with his help. They talk about, in glowing terms, James Carville, who was the campaign manager for Clinton, saying there's going to be a war. There's another Clinton official who said this is all part of our continuing campaign to destroy Ken Starr. And here's one paragraph from this, and you got to hear this. Given the White House's state-of-the-art public relations machine, it is not a surprise that the president has appeared to enjoy the upper hand. Still, Mr. Clinton's partisans say they're amazed by the ease with which they have made Mr. Starr's tactics and not the president's relationship with Ms. Lewinsky the most scrutinized topic. In other words, this was cheered back in 1998.
Oh, I covered it.
And if you criticize Mueller, I came across a story you wrote, actually, in, I think it was the Weekly Standard, where you talked about that as well. So, yeah, now criticize Mueller, dangerous,
what I guess I find
then
so striking is, look, we've never attacked Mueller as a man on this show. I'm not judging him as a man, but I think all journalists ought to be skeptical of what their government is doing at all levels. But I'm watching journalists on other channels say anybody who asks questions is disloyal, inciting violence, is basically unpatriotic. When did that change? When did journalists become cheerleaders for prosecutions?
Apparently it changed somewhere between 1998 and today. And look, I mean, is it fair to ask why Bob Mueller has 17 attorneys that are on this investigation, a majority of which donated to the Clinton campaign? One actually worked in the Obama administration. Only one donated to Republicans and Democrats. Is that so much to ask, or to question Andrew Weissman's motivations here? Obviously, Peter Strzok, he's not part of the investigation anymore, but those texts were devastating. And Now, I think in the public mind, this is becoming a lot like it did with Ken Starr, where it's looked like it is to be what it may be, a political witch hunt. Maybe there is evidence there. It hasn't been presented yet. But I think now the perception's going that way, just like it did back in the late 90s, Tucker.
It's just distressing to see reporters become lackeys and enforcers of orthodoxy, which is what they've become, sadly. Joe, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for the tie, by the way. It's a nice match.
The best.
We didn't talk about this.
Well, thanks to migration, one European country could become a third Muslim in just 30 years. But will these changing demographics make Western countries stronger or something else? That's next.